Some people say that Marvel United is a dumb baby game for babies. I say Marvel United is one of the most versatile games out there. You can make it easy enough that it's a good choice for playing with your kids, or maybe just play a low-tension game where you get to focus on using your characters in the most fun way, recreating your favorite comic book stories instead of optimizing heroes versus villains. Or you can crank up the difficulty. You can make the game frustratingly difficult by removing your wild cards and pairing weak heroes against difficult villains. Instead of having fun with your character's abilities, you'll be weighing removing threats, clearing overflowing citizens and thugs, and staying out of harm's way, maintaining a careful balance as the board state changes. You'll try to implement your own game plan, but you'll keep getting dragged into fighting fires. The original Marvel United core box is one of the best resources for the former style, with easy-to-understand heroes and villains. The X-Men core box kind of allows for both styles. It contains both easy and more difficult gameplay. That might leave you asking, where does the Spider-Geddon box fit into all this? Is it worth purchasing? What does this first glance into the third wave of Marvel United add? Welcome, board game soloists. I'm G. Allen Rector, horror author, and solo board game fanatic, and this is my review of Marvel United Spider-Geddon. So let's talk about the potential negatives first. Remember in the opening when I said that Marvel United can be easy breezy fun or painful punishment? This box definitely leans heavily towards the latter. The easiest villain in the box is Anti-Venom, and he would be a medium tough villain in any other box. The hardest villain, Morlun, is infuriating. Superior Spider-Man is very tough. They both send tons of damage your way from every direction. I would put Morlun up among the most difficult villains that I've played against, to the point where I actually don't really find him fun. Now, Superior Spider-Man, he's really tough. He's about the limit of what I enjoy playing against. Now, I put this in the negative column, but I'm going to qualify that because while it's a bit negative for me, if you wanted more of a challenge for Marvel United, then this could be a positive for you. This might be a box that you really enjoy. I believe that quite a few people have been asking, kind of pushing more into the difficult side of the experience, and it makes me wonder what's going to happen when we get Season 3. Which I know is available on Amazon, but I'm still waiting for my delivery from the Kickstarter campaign. Okay, the second negative I'll level against this core box is that the heroes are a bit samey. Now, they aren't as similar as they look, but it's far from the variety you would find among heroes in the, say, Marvel United Mutant, like X-Men core box. Being Spider-Man, they all have excellent movement, so that won't be as much of a concern. That used to be something that you would need to balance when you had villains who would be dodging this way and that. And all of the Spider-Men either pack a big wallop or do a lot of heroics or have kind of a general good balance. Now, this box contained the first equipment that I got to play with, something that they introduced in Season 3. I was pretty excited about this, but remember that sameness that I mentioned? 3 of these heroes have equipment cards with their names on them, but they are identical web slingers because they are all Spider-Men. I do think that they have some nice differentiation sprinkled throughout, especially in their starting hands, but I can't deny that I will be more happy spreading these Spider-Men out with the other heroes that I own rather than making teams comprised of entirely Spider-Men. Now that leads into my biggest negative, which is contingent on your Marvel United collection. The biggest negative I have against the Spider-Geddon core box is, as its own complete experience, I don't think that this is a good first box. If you don't own any other Marvel United, I don't suggest that you start here, even if you're a big Spider fan, basically for the reasons that I stated above. I was feeling very challenged while playing this box on easy mode with wild cards and or equipment. I don't touch the wild cards usually in Marvel United. And yet I still felt like I was barely hanging on. There's nothing in this box like the beginner experience of fighting Red Skull with all of your wild cards, which was how I initially played and gave me a chance to orient myself with the system as a new player. This box feels like it was made in response to people who have played a lot of Marvel United, and it was tilted towards an experienced player asking for more challenge. The other thing is that if this is your only box of Marvel United, these characters are a little bit too similar. It's not as fun to mix and match them. It's honestly hard to kind of keep them straight. Some of this may be bias that wouldn't be there if they were different heroes but given the same cards, except it's hard to explain away like the web slingers. But I still, even so, don't think it's an ideal introduction to the game. I don't think that you will find as much replay value in this individual core box as you would in the other two that I've played. I haven't played Marvel United Season 3 Multiverse yet, so I can't speak to that one. But I really do enjoy this, despite those negatives. So let's talk about the positives. This box comes with two anti-heroes, the purple characters. That means that they are both heroes and villains. This is great from a value standpoint. And it's really fun also if you're familiar with the comic books and why they are considered anti-heroes. If you want all the details on that, I'd suggest looking at my unboxing where I kind of discuss those things at great length, especially from a comic book fan point of view. The villains in the box have some really interesting tricks. Some people have ragged on this game as being simplistic from the beginning, but I tell you what, I think that the designers have really stretched themselves to create fun ways to differentiate the villains in the game. So much so that each, facing it off against each villain, kind of feels like its own mini game. Enough stays the same that you're still comfortable, but enough changes that it makes a lot of difference which villain you're playing. An example of that in this box is the Superior Spider-Man, who comes with his own hero dashboard, and he's trying to perform superheroics better than you. So if he clears two of his threat cards first, you lose. That's really cool. Another benefit is that the heroes in this box are really, really tough. The villains are so tough that they had to make some heroes that could face off with them. There is some definite power creep in this series, so that Season 1 heroes don't hold up as well. Now, these heroes aren't as tough against these villains, first because the villains are so difficult, and second because the villains have abilities that directly cancel out the abilities of the heroes. But those cancellation effects aren't there on heroes outside of this box. For instance, two of the Spider-Men have spider senses, and they can move away from the villain if he lands on their spot, but before he bams. That means that they won't take the damage. However, some villains in here say specifically that you can't move out of the spot once they are in it. But when you mix these heroes in, they're going to be super powerful. There are two of the heroes have spider sense, and can move away from the villain when he lands in their spot before he bams, allowing them to dodge damage. And 4 of the heroes can shrug off a point of damage each round in different and pretty interesting ways. If you're like me, then when you've been beaten by a tough villain through suffering too much damage as opposed to not being able to keep up with them through mobility or too much overflow, you've probably got a group of go-to tough guys in mind, like the Thing, who can shrug off damage, or one of the Wolverines, who can heal. And these characters can get a little bit played out, as for me, I end up turning to them when I've had enough trouble with a villain. Now, you have 6 more kind of S-tier heroes to mix into that group. Exactly like the caveat I gave to the difficult villains, though, the same applies in the reverse here. If you are somebody who's been complaining that Marvel United is too easy, most of these characters are powerful enough to potentially disrupt the balance of the game versus Season 1 villains. Like I said, there's been some power creep. Another thing I really like about this box is that they introduced a new solo mode called the Commander Solo Mode, where you only play one main hero, but you take the cards from 4 supporting heroes to support them. I haven't actually tried this mode yet. I forgot that it was in there, and I didn't want to clear Ashes Reborn Red Rain off my table. But I will try it soon and maybe give a mini review of it. Maybe a review of all of the different solo modes after I get Multiverse, because I think that might even have its own solo mode. I really love how Come On will figure out things like that to add to their long-running systems that increase the replayability of everything you already own. That's a real value add. Like, this solo mode can change the way that you visit every single one of the heroes that you already have. And I really love that. Finally, personally, I really like Spider-Man a lot. I don't keep track of all of the heroes that I use in each game, but I probably use a different spider hero in half of my games already. And now I have a lot more choice in that. And I'd say that the game has really fun sculpts. That's going to be a lot of fun as well. In the end, I recommend Marvel United Spider-Geddon for people who know they enjoy Marvel United and want a little bit more challenge, or want less challenge by adding in some of the super powerful heroes to their roster, or both. I think it kind of stretches that spectrum that you can experience in the game. Another way to put that is that while I enjoy this box a lot, I think of it as an expansion to mix into my Marvel United collection. If this was an expansion, it would absolutely be one of my top Marvel United expansions. As a core box, that is something that you would play separately as maybe your introduction into Marvel United. I do think that there are better choices. So that's it for me. Let me know in the comments what you think about Spider-Geddon, and also if you purchased Marvel United Season 3 outside of the Kickstarter campaign and have tried it, what you think of that. Another thing I'm really interested in is what property you would like to see done next in the United engine. We've got DC United, which I backed, and they dropped a hint that seems like they're going to do another property as a United game. I'm hoping for Masters of the Universe United, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles United, or maybe Requiem for a Dream United. Anyway, that's it from me. Have a great rest of your day, and keep playing solo.